The make-miss thing really bites the Celtics against the Sixers, but I'll tell you the one thing they need to do to negate that right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT. Karalis recap the madness every game, every practice. Primetime Depp and D White on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Your team's the Boston Celtics, and I talk about them Monday through Friday right here for free. Available everywhere. Shows on YouTube. Get into the comment section and share your thoughts with me, John Karalis, beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I have been covering this team for 20 years now. I have been doing this podcast for 10. I also have written a couple of books about the Celtics. I want to thank you for making this network, the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcasting network on the planet. Thank you so much. You everydayers here with us every Monday through Friday. You're the best. You're making that happen. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers, you bet $5, you get 300 in bonus bets if that bet wins. So head on over to FanDuel.com to get started. I would say betting against the Celtics in the clutch is probably a good idea the way things are going right now, or betting for the Sixers in the clutch. They've won a bunch of clutch games. But later on, we'll get into individual stuff. Jordan Walsh, Nemish Queta, all of those guys, Jaylen, Derrick, all of that. In the second segment, I'll get into a little bit more of what the Celtics need to do to avoid these offensive lulls that they have. But let's just start right at the top, which is make-miss. That's my biggest takeaway here as the Celtics lose to the Sixers. Make-miss league, right? They went into the first quarter, shot 28%, down just one, which is amazing, a complete miracle. And that's mostly thanks to the bench coming in and stepping up. Second quarter, absolute disaster. Celtics 1 of 11 from three. I think this is the worst shooting quarter that we've seen in the NBA overall, with a 1 for 11 from three. Whatever it was, 19 points. You lose the second quarter by 9. You go into the half down 10. Third quarter, shots start to fall. Jaylen Brown's hitting everything. Derrick White's hitting everything. Derrick 3 of 3 from 3 in the third quarter. And what do you know? The Celtics win the quarter by 16. Make-miss league. Fourth quarter, Anfernee Simons gets going. Looks like he's going to start carrying things. He was, 3 of 4, 2 of 2 from 3. He had 10 points in the fourth quarter. Then he checks out. And this is one of the things that I think is going to start getting discussed. What's the substitution pattern now? Because it's the second game where Simons has kind of had something going. He checks out. The Celtics offense starts to stall, and you go, oh, wait a second. Anfernee's been the guy that's kind of been taking over, but you're also subbing in Jaylen Brown and Derrick White. So, of course, on the surface, you say, well, of course you're going to sub out Simons, and he is coming off the bench. But at that point, you just wonder if playing him the full 12 minutes wasn't, the best idea, because the Celtics had obviously shooting issues all the way around. Payton Pritchard did not have a great game. So maybe you just say, hey, look, let's roll with Anfernee here and see if he can just keep it going. Let's just see if we can keep that roll going. And then, Derrick and Jaylen can play kind of off of his, attention, or give him more like room to maneuver so he's not getting as much attention. So that's one of the questions coming out of this. But Brown comes in, fourth quarter, 1 for 3. Derrick comes in, fourth quarter, 1 for 6, 1 for 3 from 3. And what do you know? Things start to fall apart. And on the other side, Justin Edwards goes 3 of 4 from 3 in the fourth quarter. The one miss that he had, Kelly Oubre puts back. And that goes to the other issue. The Celtics actually did a good job on the boards, but when it mattered, when it counted, they made the same mistake. Jaylen Brown said it after the game. He was guarding Edwards. First of all, he said he was guarding Richardson. There's nobody named Richardson on the team, but it was Justin Edwards. So he was guarding Edwards, and he sees Maxey driving. Maxey turns his back. Jaylen says, I'm going to make a play. This is the Celtics defensive strategy. When a guy turns his back, you go for a steal. So he goes to try to make a play. That ends up leaving the wide open 3-pointer. And then Jaylen makes a cardinal mistake. He's like, oh, crap. And then what he said was actually something completely different, but I'm not allowed to say that. And then he watches the ball because he's like, oh, man, I just made a mistake. I'm going to sit here and wallow in my mistake by just watching the ball go up and let's see what happens. And what do you know? Oubre is right there because Payton Pritchard, who was on Oubre at that moment, said, I'm going to fly out to try to contest. And Jaylen doesn't recognize it because he's ball watching. He admitted it. I'm not busting his chops here. He admitted it. I got caught ball watching. He said it, exact quote after the game. I got caught ball watching. And as he's ball watching, Oubre slides right in. Boom. Offensive rebound. Game over. So not only is it make miss, just, hey, it happens. The Celtics ran decent offense. It's not that I didn't think they forced anything. I thought the offense was actually pretty good. They just missed a lot of shots. At the end of the second quarter, I felt like the missed shots, the Sixers made a run at the end of the second quarter to get a little bit more separation. I think the missed shots started to impact the Celtics at the end of the second because that's where they started to, I think, hang their heads a little bit, not really defend. And the Sixers went on a run. They closed out that quarter. It was a little tough. And that's where I think it kind of showed itself the most. But generally speaking, I thought most of this was Celtics missing good looks, decent looks. But then that offensive rebound comes in, and that's just, you can't have that happen. And Jaylen, look, it does happen, and you make mistakes, and you have to move on, and that's fine. But Jaylen knows it. He said it. You can't have that happen. When your guy, you understand that you made the right decision to try to make the steal on Maxey. The Celtics are going to live with these decisions. You made the right call. You saw it. You recognized it. You went for it. And Maxey just made a play, right? The steal didn't pan out. The Celtics got burned by that a couple of times, and it happens. They're just going to have to live with that this season. But also understand that you're going to try to make a play. It's not always going to work. And when you do, your teammates are going to have to back you up. The Celtics willingly go into rotation when you're trying to make those plays. When that happens, you can't turn around and be like, oh, man, this guy that's been killing us from three the entire quarter gets the shot. Oh, boo-hoo. You have to understand, if you're not getting out there, if you're not the one getting back out to your man, somebody else is, you got to turn and look. I can understand that initial, oh, no, but then you got to turn, look, identify who the open man is, and bump Oubre. Even if you bump him at that point, the Celtics, worst case scenario, you call a foul, at least the play stops. Maybe you call, I think they might've been in the penalty, but I'd rather take the chances at the line than with the simple putback. Either way, you still have to go there and at least make the effort. You still have to go get back there and make that play. Jaylen knows it. The Celtics just have to be better at that. Again, I recognize that a lot of this stuff you might be asking guys to be, it's a little bit unfair to have Jaylen. Jaylen does so much, and he had an off shooting night. I didn't think he had a bad night. I think he had an off shooting night, but those plays are those are the ones you have to make. And fair or not, that's a moment where you can't be caught ball watching, and Jaylen was. Another tight loss here. The late game issues rear their ugly head again. And the one thing, Brian Scalabrine brought it up on the broadcast, I was thinking at the same time. I've been thinking it. The Celtics execution is not great. It's the one thing the Celtics need to do. These missed opportunities that are killing them in these games. I will talk about them when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and this is the place to go to get in on the action. FanDuel is, if you miss the start of the game, no problem. FanDuel has live betting. You can hop in whenever you want. You can bet on the hot hand, Anfernee Simons, maybe. You can bet on fourth quarter comebacks. We've seen those, for and against. You can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay. You get a shot at a bigger payout. Every game is exciting, a little bit more so if you got a little extra money riding on it. We all know how that goes. And especially when your team's making that late push. If you're a new customer, you bet $5. If that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets. It's a huge offer. $5, make it a good one. And then that wins, $300, bonus bets. Go have fun on FanDuel. Head over to FanDuel.com, sign up, play your game with FanDuel. Make sure you're signing up. Once you log in, they'll ask you, do you want to set a budget? Yes. The answer is yes. Do that. Whatever you can afford to lose with disposable income. They want you to gamble responsibly. I want you to gamble responsibly. If you hit a cold streak, don't let your emotions get the best of you. They're going to protect you in that regard. So do that. Sign up for that and sign up at FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Today's show is also brought to you by Built. No one likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. That's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payment into real rewards you can actually use. I wish I had this when I was renting, because when you pay through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed towards hundreds of hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and more. But Built isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you around your entire neighborhood. Your rent finally works for you because you're earning points every month. Whether you're grabbing food at your favorite restaurant, heading to the gym, you're still earning rewards. Built makes everyday life feel more rewarding, from your neighborhood to your travel plans. Turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. That's joinbuilt, JOINBILT, joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA to make sure you use that link so they know we sent you. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA, Locked On NBA Game Night. I am not on Game Night tonight. I switched over to Friday because the Celtics are playing, and so you'll still get great coverage tonight. And I'll be doing the Friday night games for your Saturday broadcast because it's 7 days a week. That's what makes the Locked On podcast the number one sports podcasting network on the planet, because we've got shows like Locked On NBA Game Night and Locked On NBA on the same feed covering the big stories. So go check that out. Wherever you found this podcast, you can find that one. Late game issues, once again, a problem for the Celtics. It's that the end of the game where the Celtics, Jaylen gets double team, he gets it over to Derrick White. You might argue that he got fouled. I think the last 2 minute report will be interesting on Wednesday, but either way, you just don't want to put it in that spot. You never want to be in a spot where you're putting the refs in a position to make your call and bail you out. The Celtics needed to have better execution. They scored 6-8 points in the last 6 minutes of the game. You can't do that. You got to execute. The end of game execution has to be there. And again, maybe you can argue that that Simons should have been in the game. Maybe Joe should have adjusted a little bit more. But it's still on the players. It's still on the players to get out there and make the plays. You just got to be better at that. It's not the first time the late game execution has been an issue. It won't be the last for this Celtics team. But I think the bigger thing is putting yourself in a position where the late game is you need to execute down the stretch. You could have made things a little bit easier on yourselves. And this is where the missed opportunities come in. And this is where, Scal was talking about it. And I've seen this over the past, for most of the season, but also recently, especially, the Celtics are getting themselves in position to have good opportunities. They are making plays, getting out into transition, and then, getting blocked. Like Jordan Walsh gets out into transition, takes a dribble, slows up, takes a dribble, like he gathers himself and just slows up enough, he ends up getting blocked. And that's just a situation where you have to understand the Sixers they're bearing down on you. You're being chased. Just turn, take your step, lay it in. You don't have to go up for the dunk. Just turn, lay it in, and just get right up there. Don't give them the opportunity to make a play. You have like a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2, and the pass just ends up going off somebody's foot. Like Garza was trying to make a pass. It was just a little tick late. Or plenty of rolls where I saw Neemias Queta just wide open down low, including that last basket, the last shot attempt, where he was, if they looked up, they probably had him wide open. But on a number of rolls, he's there. And the Celtics just aren't seeing the floor. And this is part of, not having the offense that they had last year. And it's much more read and react. And because the talent level isn't quite there, it's not as easy to read things at the same speed. But the Celtics are missing opportunities. They are either a step slow or a half second too late, or the decision is just a hair off. The NBA, pro sports in general, are about quick decisions. The team that can make the quickest, best decisions are the teams that are going to win. And then it's across the board. It's in football when the quarterback decides to throw and threads a needle. Those types of plays in any sport, the difference between a successful play and a play being broken up are not even inches. It's a half inch. It's millimeters. It's whatever measurement you want, whatever tiny little fraction of whatever. The difference between a fingertip or a toe or a player being too far underneath the basket to finish, that is minuscule. And the Celtics are routinely on the wrong side of that. They are routinely just a little late on a pass or not seeing the pass until, oh man, I couldn't make that, and that's where, whether it's trust, whether it's repetition, whether it's combinations, somehow as you progress through the season, that has to clean up. And that's going to be, I think, one of the biggest areas of growth that we should be looking for as the Celtics try to figure this stuff out. It's 12 games. They're 5-7 after 12 games. It's not the worst. It's not the worst place in the world to be, but also it's lining up to be a very mediocre season. This is a team that's right now fighting for 500. The next few games, and as we progress, the next game is going to be Memphis. They also played on Tuesday night. They are a circus. They are a mess. So hopefully the Celtics can get back on track. Get a couple of games against Brooklyn. They're not good, but they're not going to roll over. So, but maybe the Celtics, they're 5-7. Can you get a little streak together here? Can you learn some of these lessons? Can you get to 8-7? That would be very helpful. But how do you get to 8-7? These things that I'm talking about, the execution, the recognition of the play, recognition of where the help is coming from, knowing who's open and getting the ball to that player on time, on target, and finishing the play. You got to finish. The Celtics get out into transition more than they did last year, but they're scoring at a lower percentage. And so they're not getting the full advantage of that. They're not completing the advantage. So the positive side is they are creating the advantages. The negative side is you're not finishing them off. And whether the Celtics are good enough to take that next step is the question. Wherever that progress comes from, it's got to come from somewhere if they're going to be better than a 500 team. So that's what we're watching for as the season progresses. Again, plenty of time to try to figure this out, but they have to figure it out. Individual performances, I haven't talked about any individual players. Jordan Walsh continues to be to take huge steps forward. In fact, did he pass Josh Minott? Weren't we just talking about how Josh Minott's too good for this team and now didn't even play in the second half? What is going on here? We'll talk about that next. Today's show is brought to you by Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same number and contacts. You get the same quality service you had before, but a fraction of the price. We need fractions of prices nowadays. The setup is super easy. You keep your number, and then you're up and running in minutes. Are you ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. Upfront payment of $45 is required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for the first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on the unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listener every day. Go check out Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Josh Lloyd will help you win your league. If you're in fantasy basketball, you're not listening to Josh, then you just don't care about winning your league. He's going to give you the ads, the drops, the trades, who to be just keeping an eye out for, just so you can pounce right at the right time. He's got you covered. He's part of why this is the #1 sports podcasting network around. So check it out wherever you found this podcast. You can find Josh Lloyd and Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Individual performances. Jordan Walsh played a career high 29 minutes in this game, started the second half and was great on Tyrese Maxey, defending Tyrese Maxey down the stretch. Maxey, this is what makes this loss particularly frustrating, because it was another fourth quarter Sixers comeback. This is what they do. But Maxey had 4 points on 1 of 5 shooting in the fourth quarter. He did have 4 assists, but that's partially because Justin Edwards went berserk. But a lot of that was what was on Jordan Walsh. And Jordan, at the end of the game, did a great job. He gave the Celtics a chance to win with his defense on Maxey at the end of the game. Kind of wild to see, because like I said, we were talking about this in yesterday's podcast with Tom Westerholm. You know, that's that point in the party where you say, okay, I think I'm not leaving just yet, but you know, you're starting to, you're trying to see where the code is and all of that stuff. And here's Jordan Walsh being like, nope, we're having another drink. We're playing, your favorite song just came on. We're sitting here, we're hanging out a little bit more. So yes, love it. Good for Jordan Walsh for growing into this guy super quickly. It's almost like Josh Minott gave him the blueprint. We were talking about, Tom said it on the last, on a recent podcast. It's like Josh Minott is what we thought Jordan Walsh could be. And now here comes Jordan Walsh going like, oh, okay. Oh, I didn't realize that's what you wanted. Yeah, I can do all that. Which I don't think that's how it actually went, but it feels like Josh came along and Jordan said, oh, okay, I got you. And he's just stepped into it. Now, I don't know what's wrong with Josh Minott. Now, he started again, but he didn't play. He played a couple minutes in the second quarter. He ended up playing 8 minutes overall, was a -10. So I got to go back and look at his minutes to see exactly why he has fallen out of favor so quickly. But he started, barely played in the second quarter, did not play in the second half. Jordan comes in, starts that third quarter, and was really, really good for them. So good for him. We had, Luka Garza had a nice performance off the bench. He was good. Let's talk about the big dudes, the big guys, Jaylen Brown, Derrick White, who first, second, and fourth quarters weren't particularly great, but in the third quarter were awesome. So overall, Jaylen Brown, 8 of 18, Derrick White, 7 of 20. Derrick was 4 of 11 from 3, which is okay. Could be better, but it's okay. He had a stretch there in the third quarter where he was 3 for 3. So outside of the third quarter, he was 1 for 8, and that's bad. So once again, that shooting that I was talking about before. Now he did other things, couple of block shots, 7 assists. This is for Derrick, 5 rebounds. Jaylen did other things too, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, but you needed 7. Jaylen gets to the line, 7 of 8. But the one miss was a late one. Not that it really would have made much difference, but all it would have done really is made it another 1-point game, which is what the other two games were. So a combined 3 points in the 2 losses, the difference for the Celtics. That kind of sucks. Jaylen said this was took responsibility, said, this is on me. And, you got to make shots. You got to make plays. And sure, yes. Jaylen Brown needed to be better. Derrick White needs to be better. He needs to find some consistency. Payton Pritchard did not play well in this game. -9. You don't normally see that. 5 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. Just was not. He was not defending. He was not doing. He was not a real part of the offense in the fourth quarter. It was just if you're going to do whatever you need to do to win games, Pritchard. At that point, it should have just been 12 minutes in the fourth quarter for Anfernee Simons, and Pritchard should have just been like, "Yeah, I get it," and he would have. You don't have to worry about pissing off Payton Pritchard. Like he gets it, and he'll come back in the next game and just try to be better against Memphis. So I am curious to see how the rotations will continue. I've said this on the podcast many times. I'll continue to say, I wonder if the Simons to the starting lineup, Pritchard to the bench thing is going to happen at some point. I know Simons can cook. He's got the green light in that fourth quarter, and that's the spot where maybe Pritchard would be. So I'm still not sure how this would work, but I'm just saying that Simons is starting to come around a little bit. Pritchard is still kind of struggling, and I'm wondering if Pritchard in a more comfortable role, Simons in a more comfortable starting role, if that's going to be a switch that's made. It's not time for it yet. I'm not saying do it, but I'm just saying after 12 games, maybe by 20, 25 games, you got to take a look at this and just see. I'm just throwing it out there. It's not a slight on any of these guys, but just wonder if there's like a comfort level thing where that switch gets made. So Neemias Queta has, some things that I didn't like for sure. I didn't like that off the dribble early jumper that he took. I know he's wide open from 3, and he takes threes before games. He takes threes in practice. So he was wide open. It's not out of the question that he would hit one, but he airballed it. I just not thrilled with that. But otherwise, I think he mostly had a pretty good game. Very active defensively. Had one stretch. We had a block, came down, got the ball on the left block, and made a nice pass to Derrick White. Was it? I think nice finish underneath, like that nice little bounce pass. He's seeing the floor okay. Like he makes these little passes. He's improving for sure. I do think the numbers his plus minus numbers are a little exaggerated with the early sample size, but he is improving. I think he's playing well. And, the 10 rebounds, 8 points, 10 rebounds, good. 2 block shots. He's playing well. He's playing well. Not much from Sam Hauser. He just needs to be better. 1 of 4 from 3. It's not going to do it. Simons, I've mentioned him a few times. He had a good stretch there in the fourth quarter. I don't think he had a great overall game, but 17 points, the 5 assists. He was throwing some lasers. He was throwing some passes that was like, ooh, that was ambitious, and it got through. But overall, decent game for Anfernee Simons. He's starting to figure it out. Like I said, Garza was, he had a stretch where he was pretty good. Hugo Gonzalez was playing pretty well, but he sprained his left ankle. Let's see what comes of that. But I thought he made, a couple of nice plays. But that's it. Shout out to Jordan Walsh, man. He's stepping up, and I appreciate that he's taking advantage of the opportunity. Who knows how each game's going to go? I really don't. I really have no idea. There was a point early in this game where I was like, ooh, he's not hitting the shots. He was like a little bit off. And I'm like, is this where things start to like turn? I'm still not ruling out anybody. Like, I'm still not ruling out that he'll get DNPs at some point. Right now he's flying high and looks like he's earning a spot in the rotation, but it won't take long. It won't take much for him to be like, bad matchup or something like that. And somebody else steps up. Who knows? But I think we're starting to see, Boucher, Shireman, Tillman. Now those guys are all getting DNPs. We're starting to see a little semblance of a rotation. Is this where it settles? Is this, do you tweak the starting lineup a little bit? What's going on with Josh Minot? Does Jordan Walsh start? Does he become a starter against the Memphis Grizzlies? I don't know. Anything is possible right now with these guys as they try to figure it out. But tough loss. This easily could have been a win, and they would feel better about themselves. But like I said, with Memphis and Brooklyn coming up, couple of opportunities to there's a Clippers game mixed into that. They could 8-7, 8-8, somewhere in that range. They'd be okay. But you can't keep losing these games. You got to start beating these teams. You got to start beating the teams that you're supposed to beat. You can't lose these late leads. You have to finish these things off. So we'll see how they progress. I'll be there tomorrow after the Memphis game. So podcast coming up after the Memphis game. That's the next podcast. And then they get a few days off, but I will be here Monday through Friday, no matter what. Bonus podcast when they play on weekends, like next Friday night. So you'll get a bonus podcast there as well. Just subscribe to the podcast. Show's free. It's available everywhere. This way it just shows right up into your feed. You can watch a show on YouTube, subscribe there, ring the bell, thumbs up, all that stuff. More importantly, get into the comment section and share your thoughts. Would love to hear your thoughts, see your thoughts, and then share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.